guys, welcome back to our next installment of our self-help videos. Today we're talking all about filter socks. Filter socks are an integral part of your saltwater system. If you have a saltwater system, you're generally probably going to be running a sump on it. We usually run our filter socks inside the sump. It's going to be your basic first line of defense as far as nutrient export. It's going to pull out a lot of detritus, any sort of cloudiness or anything from the water. It's going to help with all of that, and it's our first step in our filtration for our saltwater tanks. Today is going to be all about cleaning our filter socks. There's no reason to throw these away. They're completely reusable. It is a simple process of running them through a little bit of a bleach process. It just takes a little bit of time, but we're going to be going through all of that for you guys today. Here at Fishy, we like to run filter socks on every single one of our saltwater systems. It's our great, like I've already said, a first line of defense. It's also our first step in nutrient export. We like running them just to have them there so that everything runs nice and smooth. Let me show you. So just give you guys a little bit of a rundown on why we use the filter socks. Anytime we have a drilled tank, which is our fancy little tanks with the overflow boxes, those are going to have a hole in the bottom of the tank. Coming down to the bottom side of the tank, we see our plumbing down here. That plumbing brings all the water from inside the tank and puts it down into the sump. Once it goes into the sump, it pours through our filter socks first, and then goes into our next chamber, which is where we're generally going to keep our protein skimmers or our media reactors or anything like that. You can even hide your heaters and other things down here so you don't have them in your display. Once the water goes through the filter socks, they'll go through your next chamber where you've got all of your equipment, and then down into generally your last chamber where we're going to keep our return pump, which is going to have a little bit more plumbing to go back up to those holes drilled in the bottom of the tank to go ahead and go up to our flow nozzle up in the display. Alright guys, so first step in removing the filter socks, you get down to your sump, you take off your cover if your sump has one, and we go ahead and we remove the filter sock. Now, this is our big 300-gallon frag tank in the back of the store, so we're running very, very large filter socks on this tank. The first step is to remove the sock, and I like to go ahead and put a towel down, go ahead and throw it in a 5-gallon bucket, and we can go ahead and start the next part of the process. Alright guys, so our next step, I'm not going to be using that big filter sock anymore. I'm going to be using some smaller filter socks. These are some filter socks that we pulled out of our service tanks. This is generally about when you want to start pulling your filter socks out. Anytime they get any sort of color in them, roughly every 2 weeks to a month or so, you want to pull these guys out. My favorite way to start with these guys is to start with the sock and to actually go ahead and invert the entire sock, so that way you get all the insides, and that goes into our first step. I do it in 5-gallon buckets. That'll be perfect for you guys to do at home. I go ahead and stick it down into my bucket. I've already got a little bit prepped up in here. This is just a 5-gallon bucket with some regular tap water and about a half a cup of bleach. We want this to be a pretty strong bleach solution because we want to go ahead and knock all of that bad stuff out of there. I've got some socks in here that were left in here for about 24 hours. That's about all it takes in the bleach. So we're going to take those. Make sure to do this in a well-ventilated area. We're back in our back room here at Fishy Business. So we've got a good amount of air movement and stuff back here. So we're going to take these guys and we're going to run over to the sink. The next step is pretty easy. I like to use this nice little jet nozzle that we got at Lowe's or Home Depot. Generally going to run you about $5 or less. You just want to get a nice high pressure nozzle for your hose. Go ahead and get that bad guy on there. Make sure it's nice and tight and start up the water. It's going to get kind of hard to hear, but just watch. step is done. I've gotten into all the corners, I've gotten into all the little spots. That's why I like to invert those socks, because sometimes those inner corners can kind of get a little gunky on you, and you just want to make sure to get all that out. Our next step is to go ahead and drop them in another bucket. Another 5-gallon bucket will do just fine. We also use Prime. If you talk to any of our customers, any of our employees here, this is going to be your best dechlorinating agent. The main goal here is to remove any of that excess bleach that might still be in that filter sock. At this point, I throw in, again, about a capful. Your general bottle, the little bottles of Prime, it's going to be 1 capful to about 50 gallons worth of water. I like to go nice and heavy on it to make sure to pull any of that chlorine left in it. And then as a fail-safe for that, I keep a chlorine test kit. Chlorine test kit is going to be your last line of defense. All you're going to need to do is grab your little test vial, test the water that we're putting in our filter socks after they've been sitting for about 24 hours. As long as your chlorine test comes up clear and 0 chlorine, you're good to go, and you can dry those filter socks out and you'll be good to go and put them in your tank. All right, guys, so I've had these filter socks sitting. They sat in the Prime water for about 24 hours. I tested that water and the chlorine level was 0. So they're good to go. Let's head next door and put these away. And there we go. You guys watch me reinvert all of my socks. That gets them back to their regular state and gets them ready for our service team to take them out and put them in their tanks. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Hope it all helped. Just a quick little recap. First off, you're going to invert your filter socks. You're going to let them soak in bleach for about 24 hours. Again, that's going to be about a half a cup to about a 5-gallon bucket worth of water. You let them sit for about 24 hours, pull them out, and hit them with your high-pressured hose nozzle. Once that's done, you're going to dunk them in your Prime bath or your dechlorinator bath of some sort. Let them sit for, again, 24 hours. Test that water for chlorine. As long as you come up with 0 chlorine, you're perfectly fine. Pull them out, let them dry, and you'll be good to go. Like and subscribe for some new fishy tips. We'll have some new ones coming out every Monday for you. Leave me a comment below if you want to see anything else coming up in any of these videos.